ever have those days where your energy crashes, your focus is nowhere to be found, and productivity feels impossible? Yeah, me too. Running on empty, struggling with motivation, and feeling totally burnt out, it is the absolute worst. That's why I use Alter Nutraceuticals. These supplements have been a lifesaver for me on days when I just don't have it in me. They help boost focus, productivity, and fat burning while supporting weight management and cognitive health. And the best part, it's all natural energy. No jitters, no crashes, just real results. If you're ready to finally feel in control of your energy and performance, head to alternutraceuticals.com and make sure to use the code Goalpreneur for 10% off your order. Trust me, your future self will thank you.
You're listening to the Goalpreneur Podcast with Courtney Spaeth, the go-to place for ambitious and driven female entrepreneurs looking to elevate their business and life. Each episode is packed with actionable insights to help you dream bigger, think bolder, and achieve your next level of success. No playing small here, only strategies and encouragement to help you shine. And now, here's your host, educator, personal development enthusiast, and holistic esthetician, Courtney Spaeth.
I am joined today by Stacy Smith of Sassy, right? Sassy.com. Okay, we were just talking about the website, how it's a cute play on her name and that she cycles. She has an amazing, amazing website and her blog post. I'm scrolling through it now. She's an excellent writer, but her blog post, there is legitimately something for everybody in her blogs. So make sure you go to sascy.com and read about Stacy, check out her blogs. Let us know in the comments what you thought. And welcome, Stacy. I'm so glad that you're here. I really enjoyed our first conversation a couple weeks ago. So I'm glad to have you here on the Goalpreneur Podcast. And we're just going to jump right into it.
This sounds great. Thank you so much for having me, Courtney.
Yeah. So let's talk about your beginnings, how you got into cycling. I was reading a little bit and you had a pretty gnarly accident, it sounds like, around the age of 10. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. So when I was 10 years old, I actually got hit by a pickup truck on my bike and it destroyed my bike. Luckily, I was fine, but I was definitely scarred for life. So, you know how they talk about your life kind of flashing before your eyes? I definitely had that. It was a really scary experience. And so I actually didn't ride a bike again or even try to ride a bike again until I was an adult, like probably in my late 20s. And I was just so bad at it. I felt like every single time I got on a bike, I didn't know how to switch the gears. I didn't know what I was doing. And I hated it. And I also fell off the bike again and got this big gash on my leg. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. But then a number of years ago now, for our anniversary, my husband said, hey, I listened to a podcast. And the hosts of the podcast were talking about how couples should make goals for each other. And since I started biking and love it so much, I would love to buy you a road bike for our anniversary. And I wanted to kill him, actually. But I said, okay, you know what? I do want to be more active. I was running, but running very infrequently because I just found it to be really hard and arduous and I didn't get very far. So I said, okay, you know what? I'll give this a try. So he took me to the bike shop and I tried a bike. He took me on a 10-mile ride to start. And
your first ride out?
Yeah. And I can see your face right now. And it was like, we got back to the bike shop and my friend Tyler at the bike shop said, really, you took her on 10 miles to start? Like, what were you thinking? And so it was really hard and my bum really hurt, but I absolutely loved it. I loved going down hills. I didn't love climbing them so much, but I loved going down them.
Anybody does.
You know, right? And I could get so many places so much quicker. And it just was like I was rediscovering that joy of riding a bike when I was a little kid and just how much fun it can be when you kind of have like the right bike and the right circumstances. And I've been riding ever since. And I can't even imagine my life without it now.
I feel like growing up, like riding bikes, that's such a thing about childhood. Everybody's out riding bikes and yeah, and you had given it up
Oh yeah.
until you were what, 20 you said?
Late 20s. Late
Late
20s was the next
20s.
time I got on a bike. So it was a good 15 years before I got back on a bike again.
Oh my gosh. And then nothing says I love you like, here, I'm going to set a goal for you and you're going to start biking.
Yeah, and
Thing.
he in his defense, he said, obviously, if you really don't want to, I'm not going to make you, but he's just like, I love it so much, and I really want to share it with you. I want it to be something that we can do together. And spoiler, we don't really ride together, actually, because he's so much faster than me. But he's like, you should get an e-bike so that we can ride together. But we both, just started making it a real priority to do something physically with our bodies that we just really, really love. And ever since I started, like I said, I can't imagine not. It's just something that lights me up and something that is so much fun.
Yeah, I think once you find that special thing, like that lights you up, and it's good for the body, it's good for the mind, it's good for the soul, it's good for stress relief. Once you find that thing, it's not work. It's like something you crave. You need to do it. I think that's awesome. I
Right. And
wouldn't
I,
tell
I
biking.
never
I
thought I would be
mean,
that person ever, because I hated exercise so much. And so to
yeah.
find something that made me feel like I could actually do it, because I always felt like I was a bigger girl, and I have been teased about my weight since I was 5 years old on the bus going to kindergarten. And so I had been kind of telling myself this story for so long that just I wasn't going to be an active person. Movement wasn't for me. That wasn't my strength. And so to find something that I finally was doing just because I love it, not because I was trying to like look good in a bathing suit, or because I was trying to like look good when I looked in the mirror, but just do something that felt really, really good to do. That was my thing. And so I really encourage everybody to try to find that thing for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. When we were doing our welcome call, like to get to know each other a couple weeks ago, we had talked about this because like biking, it is fun. Just going out and going for a bike ride, it's nice. It's you feel the wind in your hair, the sun on your face. Like if it's a beautiful day, it's you could be out there for hours very easily. But it's considerably different than doing a spin class. I dread spin classes like that. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me. I dread it. As soon as the music starts and the instructor starts, I've taken, I think, 2 or 3 spin classes at most. And that was years ago. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to just, like, I should just get up and walk out. This is horrible. But when you're outside biking, it's completely different. And I will say, talking about lady parts, those seats hurt.
They do.
They're awful. And I did read that about you on your website. You had complained of the same thing. And I thought like the cushier seats would be so much better, but that actually was worse.
It is worse. Yeah. It's because of the friction. And so a lot of times we think like we need a gel cover for our seat, or we need a cushier seat, and that's going to make us feel better. But the reality is it doesn't. What we really need is we need a seat or a saddle that supports our sit bones. So, and is the right size for us. So every woman's anatomy is different. And it's so important to try multiple saddles in order to find the one that actually will fit and work for you. I think I've tried 10 at least at this point before I settled on one that
Oh,
I
wow.
feel works really well for me. And so
Yeah.
the way you can actually get around that, though, is to wear padded bike shorts. That helps a lot. When you wear padded shorts, even if the seat isn't perfect for you, it's the padding on the shorts works. The padding on the seat, unfortunately, does not.
That is so crazy. I mean, you go to the stores and you feel these bikes, the cushiony bike seats. It's like, oh, that feels like heaven. That'd be amazing. But I guess that's not right.
It does, some people really don't have that much of a problem. But I think that, there are a lot of things that have contributed to this. One is that for so long, so many bike seats were made with men in mind and
Mhm.
male anatomy in mind. And so it's been more recently, like probably the past 5 to 10 years, that we've really seen more and more companies making bike seats for women specifically. Actually, the seat that I used is from a brand called Specialized, and they created this particular seat with women in mind, and then adapted the technology for men, which I thought was
Oh,
so cool. That
oh,
like that it went
interesting.
that way,
Yeah.
instead of the usual way in the cycling world, which is to adapt male bikes and male technology for women.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, some seats that after biking, even for a short time, it's like you get off and you feel like you're completely bruised.
No, you are. You
It's
really are
awful.
bruised, and it takes time for your body to adjust to putting your weight in a place that it isn't used to putting its weight. So your sit bones do get used to it, and it does get better. And so my advice is always just to make sure you have shorts with good padding, and to stick it out, because it will get better. I felt like it took forever for me, longer than most women, but it did actually improve, and now it's something I don't even think about really anymore.
Huh. Interesting. Good to know. So you got back into the cycling, biking. Is it biking or cycling? Is there a difference?
There's not. I think that, we use a lot of different words to describe what we're doing. Like sometimes women will say that they're cyclists. Sometimes they'll say they ride bikes. Some will say, I love my Peloton, but I don't ride outside. And really, the bottom line is it doesn't matter what anybody wants to call it. All that matters is that you get on a bike and you have fun. And,
Mhm.
a lot of women don't feel like they are quote unquote good enough to call themselves cyclists. And it's the reality is, if you get on a bike and you spin, pedals, you are a cyclist. You don't have to be like some elite level of cycling in order to enjoy riding your bike inside, outside, on the road, mountain biking, cross biking. It doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is that you love it and you enjoy doing it.
Oh, that's so good to know. That I think, yeah. I mean, with the terms, it would be easy for somebody to feel like kind of a fraud.
Right,
Seeing the
women
people
feel
that have been,
intimidated all the time in
yeah.
the biking world, and they really shouldn't, because, there's so many amazing, amazing women out there who ride bikes and feel like they shouldn't ride with a group because they aren't strong enough, or they shouldn't, or that they're too big to ride bikes, and so on and so forth, and that only skinny women can ride bikes. And the reality is that it's something that's out there and accessible to all of us. There's actually this amazing movement called All Bodies on Bikes, which is just so fantastic, because it's really focused on, like, let's just get out there and let's just ride, and let's find ways to make this sport inclusive for everybody who wants to join in, because it doesn't make sense to block anybody from what is something that we all love and enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had a friend of mine years ago. She's was huge into running. And I believe like she had the body shape for a runner. Now I'm more hourglass, different body shape. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel kind of like ridiculous out here trying to run. I feel like I'm just a dead weight trying to get down the road. And she goes, don't ever feel like that, because you're out here doing it. Other people are sitting on the couch or not doing anything. She goes, but you're out here. She goes, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go, you're running. You're a runner. So,
Yes,
I mean, the
you
same could be
are.
like a cyclist. It's like, doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go, as long as you get out there and try it or do it, you're a cyclist.
Yes, and you're right. Running is the same way. I had a really good friend who used to get me out running after school. We're both teachers, and she would get me out running after school. And she said, "No, you can absolutely do this. You keep saying you can't, but you can. We'll start really slow. We'll run a minute. We'll walk a minute." and we'll just keep building up. And it's true. By the end of it, I actually ran a 5K and I ran the whole thing. And I never before thought that was possible. And I think that
Good for
that's so,
you.
thank you. And I think that's so important, is that when we start to realize that it doesn't matter what our body type is, we can do whatever activity we love and we want to do. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a woman in my community who had to have a leg amputated and is still riding her bike. So there are ways to still be active, even, even when, like, those sorts of things happen. So we can, find a way to keep our bodies moving no matter what it is. All that we have to do is love it and enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. She must really like biking. I mean, I mean, that is amazing. Somebody if that could have had that happen, it was like, okay, now I have to give up everything because of this. And it sounds like she didn't let that disability stop her.
No,
She
it's such an
like,
inspiration,
no, I'm
really.
going to be an encourager. I'm going to be a motivator for other people that maybe had something like this happen. Oh my gosh, that is so great. I love that. Now, you do biking for a weight loss reason or part of your journey, correct?
Yeah, so I started biking initially just to be active and to feel really good and to feel really strong. And I, in the back of my mind, was also like, hey, it would be really great if I could lose weight doing this too, because I've finally found an activity that I just totally love. And what ended up kind of happening though is that I really didn't separate the idea of biking and weight loss in my mind. And I was still also kind of doing it in the hopes that I would lose weight. And it just wasn't happening. And I was trying to figure out, what the heck is this that's going on? And it was like January of 2020, I was standing in front of the mirror. I was heavier than I had ever been, since other than when I was actually carrying another human. And I I was like, you know what? Um I really want to lose weight. And I think in our society today, there is this kind of stigma around weight loss, almost, where we are starting to be encouraged to not think about weight loss as much and think more about, being strong and being healthy. And I completely 100% agree with that. But when I was standing in front of that mirror and I was looking at myself, I just was like, I want to be strong, I want to be healthy, and I want to lose weight. And I'm going to figure this out, because my whole life I had been kind of on this diet roller coaster of restricting all of the things and then losing a little bit of weight and gaining weight back. And for me, what I realized was that, my son was 5 years old and I wanted to be around for him for a really long time. I lost my dad when I was in my early 30s, and I don't want him to go through that. I'm an older mom. I had him later in life, and I want to be around for him as long as I possibly can. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was a combination of wanting to be here for him, wanting to really kind of feel some confidence. And so I said, I don't know. I was looking in the mirror, I was talking to myself, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it. And I know that the only way that I'm going to be able to do this is if it's simple, if it's doable, if it's manageable, and if I realize that there is nothing physically wrong with me and my body right now. Like, my body's strong. I'm in the best shape of my life. I just happen to be heavier and I don't want to be. So if I approach this from the perspective of, I'm freaking strong and amazing and I can do this and it's going to be fun, and I am not going to beat myself up and I'm not going to put myself down. I'm just going to encourage myself all through the process and make each day a little bit better than yesterday. And I'm going to figure this out. And I did. It took me, I think, 14 months to lose 50 pounds. And that's less than a pound a week. And we are always kind of told, like, a pound a week is almost like, I feel like that's always almost like the minimum that
Yeah.
that we're talking about. We're like, oh, well, realistic weight loss is about a pound a week. It's like, no, 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 not for me, because I really like food. So it's going to take me a little bit longer to work all of this out and figure all of this out, but it's going to work and I'm going to make it happen, because I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm going to make
Yeah.
changes that I'm willing to live with for the rest of my life. I'm going to eat carbs because carbs are my fuel. I am going to eat, Doritos because I really like Doritos. I'm going to eat the things that I like to eat, but I'm going to eat less of them. And I'm going to eat them in a way that is focused on, what I need to do to fuel my body and sometimes what I need to do just to like fuel my soul.
Yeah.
But I needed to stop emotionally eating because I was doing a lot of that. I was doing a lot of eating when I had a bad day. I was
Mhm.
doing a lot of mindless eating when I was bored. And so I needed to kind of work all of that out because I was just not being really honest with myself about what being a strong, healthy person looked like in terms of what I was doing day to day.
Yeah. I think when you were talking about food and finding something that you like, did you feel like that was like I don't want to say permission, but did you feel like there was that struggle of, well, I know I'm biking, I know my body is burning X amount, so I can eat this? Or was there ever that struggle, or did you have it clear in your mindset? No, this is a lifestyle, so I'm changing this about my eating habit regardless if I'm biking that day or not.
Yeah. So when I initially started biking, the focus was really very much on the biking and getting stronger on the bike. And I firmly believe that it's so important to not try to do everything all at once. I think that so many times we think that if we want to make changes, we have to ride a bazillion miles a day and lift all of the weights and count all of our calories and our macros and our points or whatever. And we have to do everything right. And we have to do it now so that we can get results as quickly as possible. But when I first started this journey, it was all about getting stronger on the bike. And in some ways, I think, yes, I felt like if I did a really hard bike ride, I could eat whatever I wanted because I was burning off all the calories. But really, that wasn't the focus. And so the focus was like really getting in the habit of riding my bike and riding my bike regularly. And I would say that, when I made this decision to lose weight, I was riding my bike at that time more than I ever was before, or since even. I don't ride nearly as much today as I did then. But I lost the 50 pounds and kept it off because I shifted my focus for a time to weight loss. And then I shifted my focus to strength training. So
Mhm.
now I am in a place where I ride my bike, I eat well, and I strength train. But it took me 5 years to get here. Actually, longer if you count when I started riding. It's more like 7 years to get to a place where I was doing all of those things regularly because
Okay.
I knew that I've never been the girl who's gonna, reliably like work out and eat right and do all the right things. That's never been me. I've always been, like I really, like I said, I love food and I do like to move, but it took a while for me to enjoy the movement. And I hate strength training and I still do. But now because I've built all of those other habits, I have realized I know that strength training is so good for the stage of life that I'm in. Building muscle is so incredibly important for longevity. And I know that it's good for me. So I just within the past year have started to add that in as well. So it's all about, these are the things that I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. You can't make temporary changes and expect permanent results. Temporary changes only give you temporary results. So
Yeah.
it's been all about like just slowly changing habits and layering habits that are going to bring me closer and closer to the goals.
Mhm, mhm. I love that. With your, so your son is how old?
He's 9.
9. Is he biking with you and your
He does,
husband?
he does. He bikes with both of us. Sometimes we go on my husband and I will go on family bike rides. They're both faster and stronger than me. They both fly up hills and I lag behind. But yes, I love that you asked that because one of the other reasons for wanting to be strong on the bike and lose weight is that I really want to model this kind of healthy lifestyle for my son. I want him, and my husband and I both want him to be active and to understand the importance of activity, incorporating it into your daily life. So that it has actually been a huge motivator too.
Yeah, I think that is so great. Starting with And that I'm glad that you brought up the modeling portion, because, kids growing up, they see what their parents do. And it's so hard to start something later in life. It's not impossible. People do it all the time. But when you start the kids off, yeah, same here. But when you
Okay.
are modeling a healthier lifestyle and that's what they know, that's what they're growing up with, that's going to carry them into later life. That's the life that they know, chances are it's going to carry down when they have kids. And
Exactly.
I think that's so important, because you have your why. You want to be active. You want to be around as long as possible for your son and grandkids down the road. And you want to be active with them. I mean, so many things change with women getting later in the years, and our bodies shift
Yes.
at a moment's notice, I feel.
It does seem
And
that way
then you
sometimes.
have perimenopause, which brings in a whole other host of things.
Sleep has been eluding me lately. Very frustrating.
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree with you on that one. But it's just like you got to find, like what you said, you have to find what works for you and your body and the lifestyle, because like you had just mentioned, temporary results or temporary effort, that's all you're going to get.
Right. And
And
it
if you
has
don't,
to be it has to be something you like because,
yeah,
I know that from a cognitive standpoint right now the best thing I can do physically for my body is strength training, but I don't like it. And so I needed to get in the habit of moving my body regularly, doing something that I like and or at least, something that I didn't hate. And so I always encourage people, I obviously love biking. I'm a cyclist. I identify as a cyclist. It's my thing. But find your thing. It doesn't have to be my thing. It can be anything. But do something like even if it's just a 5-minute walk during lunch, something that seems so small when you think about it after you know, after a work week, you've walked for 25 minutes that you didn't walk the week before. It doesn't have to be this big, intense, insane effort in order for it to work. Every single little bit counts and it all adds up over time because you're getting self in the habit of doing something active every day. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing.
yeah. And pretty soon, maybe you felt this way too. Pretty soon, it just becomes part of your identity. It's just, you don't even think about it. It's just something that you do.
And then there are times where you are sitting around and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I really want to go move my body. I want to go for a run. I want to go ride my bike. I don't want to be sitting here. And who am I? Because me of 10 years ago would have been very happy on this couch.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So with your, I'm going to switch gears here for a quick second. So when you're sitting down to write a piece for your blog, who do you have in your mind that you're writing for? Is it to your former self, or are you thinking about the audience that is going to be reading your blog?
So it's a little bit of both because I know that there are so many women out there who were in the same place that I was and who really just were struggling with I want to move my body. I'm not really sure how. I want to get into biking, but I'm not sure how to do that either. I want to lose weight, but I've tried for decades to do it. And all I do is, go up and down on the scale and then beat myself up and give up. And so when I'm writing, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, there are so many of us out here who are just going about everything in the wrong way because the diet industry has taught us for so long that we have to restrict all of these things and that we can only eat so much and that we have to eat in a calorie deficit and we have to, move our bodies. And then there's all these rules where, okay, well, you can't eat carbs and no, well, if you're going to ride a bike, you absolutely need to eat carbs because that's what's going to fuel you on the bike. Otherwise you're going to just not. And so when I was starting writing, I was like, oh, I have gotten this wrong for so long. And I just want to help other people. I mean, I did Richard Simmons deal a meal cards in the 1980s as like a 10-year-old, thinking that this was, and I never did any of like the fad diets. I thought I was always doing these reasonable ones like Weight Watchers and, MyFitnessPal, and just trying to be reasonable about how much food I was taking in. And the reality was that none of those apps or programs or anything take into account how much activity you're doing. They don't take into account how you feel. They don't teach you how to actually think for yourself in terms of, am I hungry? Have I had enough? And they don't help you with emotional eating, because none of those things are going to matter when you've had a bad day and you're standing in front of the pantry and you want Doritos and Oreos and you just want to not think. You just want to be numb for a little bit. None of those diets help. Like, they just make you feel bad because after you've eaten all that food, now you're like, okay, well, now I've blown my diet. And so I might as well just eat more, because who cares? I can't do this anyway. Because that was me forever.
Yeah.
And I don't want women to feel that way about themselves or to feel that way about their bodies anymore. I would just look in the mirror and be like, wow, this is disgusting. And that's just, and I know that I'm not alone. I know that I'm not the only one. And because society has taught us for so long that this is what we should look like, when we don't perceive ourselves as fitting that ideal, it's just sad. Like, I saw recently a woman had posted in one of my Facebook groups a photo of her legs, and said, I feel like I'm very slim, but this is what my problem is, and I hate it. And she was asking for advice, like, how can I get rid of, my legs looking like this? And I just wanted to give her a really big hug and say, I've been there. I've stood in the mirror and looked at my legs, and I've been so angry at what they look like. And then I had to start being a little bit more like mindful about the way that I was talking to myself, because I was talking to myself like a complete jerk. And there were a couple of things that I was thinking of. And one is, when I was thinking about my 10-year-old self who was doing the Richard Simmons deal a meal cards and felt the same way, like, would I have talked to her like this, like the way that I'm talking to myself right now? Absolutely not. And
Yeah.
also, when I'm so focused on what my legs look like, I'm completely forgetting about what they allow me to do, which is they let me ride my bike. And my arms, are my arms larger than like maybe what I'd like or what some women's arms look like? Sure. But they let me like hug my family. And so when I focus on, the good stuff that my body can do, I tend to be a lot more kind to it. And that's what I want for the people who read my articles. That's what I want for my former self, is for her and for all of them to think about the good stuff that our bodies can do. And when we focus on that and we focus on the movement that our bodies are capable of, it makes us want to take care of our bodies better. But when we're standing in the mirror and we're like, oh my gosh, that's just gross, then we just feel bad. A lot of times people think like, oh, well, that's really motivating. No, it's not. You just feel bad. Nobody looks at themselves in the mirror and really can definitively say like, this is going to motivate me to do better, because it will possibly motivate you to do better in the short term. But in the long term, when things blow up, when life gets hard, when other stuff is happening and going on, then you're going to go to what has always been comforting to you before. And for me, that was always food.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy to stand in front of the mirror and just find the negative. I mean, I think that's what we're trained to do. I mean, with social media, with magazines, with the photoshopping, TV. I mean, we're being taught every day. There's something wrong with you. Find it. You look in the mirror, it's not that hard to see. Okay, I can pick a million things off my body that I don't like. But like you mentioned, arms, yeah, they're not as muscular as they used to be. They got a little bit more meat on them. But I can pick my kids up. Well, they're taller than me. So,
You can
oh,
hug them.
I can hug them. My legs. Yeah. The older we get, more meat. Okay. But the my legs, they allow me to walk. They allow me to run. They allow me to play pickleball. They allow me to do so many things. Your legs are full of energy and muscle and strength, and that gets you from point A to point B. And it doesn't matter the size. It does not matter the size. Everybody's body is created uniquely and different, and there is no one size diet that fits all. There is no one size fits all for workouts. Everybody's body is going to respond differently. So, there's such power in taking a look in the mirror and saying, "Oh, am I where I am, or where is my body where I want it to be? No, it's not yet, but it will. It'll keep getting stronger. I'll meet my goal weight or fit into, these jeans, whatever it may be. I will get there." And like for you, biking is a tool. You've created that healthy lifestyle that is not easy to do for a lot of people. You've stuck with it because living in a time where we want immediate gratification, we want to lose 10 pounds within 2 weeks. Like we want that. If it's any slower than that, it's like, what's the point? Well, there
Right.
is a point.
Right.
You'll get there. Just stay with it. I think that is so inspiring.
Right. Because if you lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, you're never going to keep it off because you were making temporary changes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you lost 50 pounds in what, 14 months?
Yes.
A little over a
14
year?
months. Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. That's, it's hard for me to lose 10 pounds.
And I'm going to say this with complete sincerity, and most people are probably not going to believe it, but I honestly, once I lost the weight, barely even noticed or cared, because at that point I had been really practicing appreciating myself for everything that I am and everything that I can do, that I really feel like that shift and that change was so much more important than anything I physically did, because that is what allowed me to finally recognize that my body was worth taking care of, that my body would never look this way, but it could do all of the things that I want it to be able to do. And that was what I really wanted. I really wanted to be happy. I really wanted to feel good. And I really wanted to not just tell myself, oh, you're great and you're wonderful just as you are, but to really truly believe that. And though practicing those thoughts and thinking about myself in that way, taking the negative thoughts that I had and just neutralizing them and being like, okay, all right, my legs are big, and maybe in my opinion, they're big and I don't particularly like them, but at least I have them, and at least they can do what I need them to do. And I'm working on thinking differently about my legs, because if I tried to say oh, my legs are awesome and beautiful just as they are, my brain's way too smart for that. It wasn't going to believe that. But it could believe oh, I have legs and my legs allow me to ride my bike. That I could get behind, And so
Yeah.
just really kind of focusing on making those mental shifts is what made me want to take care of myself better and made me appreciate everything, so that, yes, the weight did come off. And yes, I was appreciative that the weight came off. But because I started already thinking of myself as that healthy person, even beforehand, I think fundamentally that was the key shift in what made this stick for the last time, because I'm never going back to where I was before mentally. Physically, I might decide hey, I just want to be 200 pounds, and that's fine. But mentally, I'm never going to beat myself up or think that I'm less than because of what I physically look like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So because I know the day that we talked, I was just getting out to go play pickleball after
Yeah.
our conversation. That's my sport. That's something I
So much
found.
fun. So many people love it so much. I need to try it.
Oh, it is so much fun. I never thought I would enjoy it as much as I do, but it's ooh, I cannot wait to get back out. It is so good for movement, for cardio. And I am like cardio, I despise it. But it is fun. And 2 hours goes by and I'm like, oh, we're done. 700 calories later. Holy cow. Okay, that was amazing. So how I feel about pickleball is how you feel about biking.
Yes.
Like it's amazing. But so I don't have my notes in front of me. Just trying to remember from our previous conversation. Do you offer coaching? Like
I
if somebody's
do.
listening to this and they're like, I really want to get into biking. Like I see people out there. It's something I want to try. I don't know where to start. And I need somebody to hold me accountable. So you do offer coaching.
Yes, I offer one-to-one coaching, and I also have a group coaching course and program. So I do offer both. And I really think that the accountability piece that you get with coaching is absolutely priceless. I work with a coach myself for strength training because it's something that I just can't self motivate to do. And I know that about me. And maybe, in 10, 15 years, I it'll just be something that I do. But right now, I get to hang out with my coach, Natalie, for a week. And so now I look forward to it because of the social aspect of it. And so, what I love about my group coaching program is that the women in the program, we can all kind of motivate one another and hold one another accountable. And what I love about working on with my one-to-one clients is that we can go a little bit deeper and we can really focus on what each individual person needs and like where they're at in their particular journey. I've done both, and I find that my clients just are so appreciative that the approach that I take allows them to live their lives and allows them to, have days that don't go perfectly. Because the reality is that even those perfect people that you see out there that seem to have it all together, at most, maybe 80% of the time they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Maybe. Nobody does everything right all the time. And so when you can start kind of understanding that and realizing it and knowing that, you're going to overeat. It is absolutely going to happen. I still overeat. And the big difference is that one, I don't beat myself up over it. I get curious about it and I'm like, okay, well, I wonder what was happening and going on with me that allowed that to happen. And the other part of it is that I think about, okay, well, this is how I can kind of handle this situation next time. I don't just like throw up my hands and say, okay, well, I never can possibly lose weight. It's not for me. I'm always going to be the big girl and just give up. Because the only difference between someone who loses weight and someone who doesn't is that the person who loses weight doesn't give up.
Yes. Yes. So true. They're consistent. They remember their why, remember why they wanted to lose weight in the first place. They're consistent. They take small daily steps each day and they get to there's no way that they can fail. If they're doing the daily steps towards
Right.
their goal, if they keep working towards it, there's no way that they can fail. Might take a
Right.
little bit longer than what they had hoped, but they're going to reach that endpoint.
Yeah, and weight loss isn't linear. So over the course of those, like, I don't know what, 14 months, my weight was up and down the whole time because your body's just doing different things every day. And if you get so focused on that number, then you are going to get so in your head about the whole process. Like, you do not need to weigh yourself in order to lose weight. If it's something that you find is just incredibly stressful, then I advise my clients not to do it until they have a better hold on what that number actually means, which is literally absolutely nothing. It is just a snapshot in time. It is just
Yes.
whatever your body is deciding to do on that day and whatever the scale is deciding to spit out. And when you think about it that way, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I've failed, I've gained 2 pounds this week. What did I do wrong? I thought I was doing everything right. When that's the story you're telling yourself, then you're going to be a whole heck of a lot more miserable and you're probably going to give up.
Yes. 100% agree with you. So wise. I think the number on the scale, I mean, it's hard to not step on the scale. I'll be honest and say it is hard not to step on the scale to see what's shifting, what's happening. But I think measurements are a much accurate, it's a better path to take. They're more accurate. your energy, how you're feeling every day.
How
You
your
got more
clothes
energy?
fit, like
Okay,
how do your
that
clothes
says
feel?
a lot. Yes, your clothes. I think there's so many other ways to measure success aside from the scale.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that number with hormone fluctuations with women, it's hormones depending on the time of the month. We're going to be retaining water. I mean, if you haven't eliminated in a couple days, I mean, that's in there.
Right, all of it. And
There's
so just
so many factors.
right. So if
Oh,
it really messes you up, then stop. Or if you can
yeah.
look at it and if you can look at it and be like, oh, that's interesting, then
Yeah.
it's fine.
So when you're coaching, do you say just pick one day each week and just weigh yourself that one day? Or do you really just suggest don't even step on the scale?
So when I'm working individually, it certainly varies depending on what their relationship with the scale is. Because what I want to work on is your relationship with the scale and your relationship with that number. I don't want you to be, because if you're the kind of person who has all of your eggs in one basket in terms of that number being the be all end all of your weight loss and of your improvement, then we need to work on that
Yeah.
because the last thing I want to do is put someone in a position where they stop before they even start. And so I will say that I weighed myself every day. When I decided that I wanted to lose weight, I said, you know what? I'm going to improve my relationship with the scale, improve my relationship with that number, see it as just one piece of data amongst many, many other things. And I'm just going to be curious about it and be like, oh, it's up, it's down. I wonder why that is. Maybe I'm retaining more water, maybe I like, or did I maybe, kind of overeat? Am I retaining water because of salt? So there can be all sorts of reasons and factors in terms of why that is an issue. But the idea is you need to work on that relationship. And you need to work on your relationship with yourself. And so because I had kind of done that work, that mental work of neutralizing that number, it was easy for me to just be like, oh, it's up a little bit today, it's down a little bit tomorrow, because I could see over time it was trending down. Yes, it was up and down, up and down, up and down, but over time there was a gradual decline. So,
Yeah.
and I was perfectly fine with that. And some people are, and some people can do that. And the problem that I personally have with weighing yourself once a week is that if you really are hoping to see that number go down and it doesn't, that can be really devastating and then you have to wait a whole nother week to get another piece of data. So that's why I weight myself every day, because every day is a new day. It could be,
Yeah.
and it also completely desensitized me to the whole process. So it's really about what's going on in your head. Like, that number doesn't mean a darn thing, but if you're putting a lot of stock in that number, then you're going to have a really bad time.
Ooh, that hit home. That was good.
Sorry.
Thank you for that. Oh, so take us through when you were starting out and you were making all these new lifestyle changes. You started biking, started eating differently, your mindset. Take us through somebody that maybe you're going to be working with that has no idea where to start. They're at square one. And it's just like, tell me what I need to do. Like, I want to get from here. Here's my end goal. And maybe bring yourself, like, talk to us about how you were when you first started. So,
Yeah.
what does that training look like for you?
So the first thing that I encourage the women who work with me to do is to have a plan for their meals and for their bike rides, and to have a priority. Do you want to get stronger on the bike, or do you want to lose weight? Of course you want both. But at the end of the day, when you've had a really bad day, when push comes to shove and you can only do one thing, which of those goals are you going to work toward first? And that's how I did it. I really focused on getting strong on the bike first before I even entertained the idea of weight loss. But you can do it in whatever order you want, as long as you pick your one thing. What is that one thing that you are going to make sure you fit in and you do no matter what, and have a plan for that one thing? So the prioritization is so, so important because you need a priority and you need a plan. So you need a plan for your food and you need a plan for your bike rides. And neither of those plans should be complicated at all. You want to make it really, really easy. And so if your focus is 100%, I just want to lose weight and ride my bike to have fun, but losing weight is the most important thing to me, then I'm going to tell you that the most important thing you do every day is take 5 minutes, just 5, in the beginning of the day and decide what you're going to eat for that day. And
Mm.
I tell you to plan all of the food you normally eat. So it's not, let's make this all super healthy and let's make this full of stuff that either I don't currently eat or that is going to be difficult for me to prepare. No, 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 no. You are going to decide right now, what are you going to have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, dessert? And if you want to make a change, then maybe you have the way that I started. I kid you not, Courtney, is I had 2 cookies with my afternoon tea instead of 1. And so does that seem like not enough? Well, yeah, of course it seems like not enough when you want your results and you want them now, but that's 7 less cookies a week. Like, do you really think that doesn't add up over time?
Mm-hmm.
All of those small, tiny little changes you make are so, so important because I knew that following somebody else's plan never worked for me. I needed my own. And I needed the confidence of actually putting that plan into place and learning like, oh, I can trust myself to decide in the morning what I'm going to eat and then eat those things and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
them instead of feeling guilty about it. So I never, ever will tell a single client to count a single calorie. I just won't do it because I don't think that it's useful or valuable, especially when you start. If you're already basically at your goal weight and you're looking at, I really want to get those last 5 pounds and I feel really good and strong about myself. And maybe then for a baseline, you want to start counting calories, like by all means, go on ahead and do it. But I don't think it's useful or valuable to think, oh, well, I can only eat this many calories today, because that makes you not think about if you're hungry or if you are full. And ultimately, what you need to find out is how much food do I actually really need to fuel my body for my bike rides or whatever activity I'm doing, and just not be super hungry. And that is going to be different for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with the idea of shifting how you look at food, especially when you're starting a weight loss journey, how you think of food. I don't like the word diet because that's just a negative. That's full of negativity and things that you're going to be deprived of if you think of it like
Totally
that.
agree. I never use the word.
No,
I go out of my way to not use the word.
yeah. I mean, it's a lifestyle shift. What do you call it?
Yeah, I think 100% it's just a new way of living your life. You're not dieting. You are just looking at your whole life in a completely different way, in a much more positive way. You're looking
Mhm.
at, this is how I want to feel good and feel strong, and these are the small doable things that I'm going to do along the way that will get me closer to that goal, as opposed to I need to restrict and not eat all of the things that I love, because that only works when everything in your life is going freaking great. The second something goes wrong, if you're an emotional eater like I am, then you're going to emotionally eat because
Yeah.
you haven't learned how to feel the feelings that you're actually having. You're trying to avoid them by eating food.
Yeah. Jeez. So many different moves, so many different moving parts. When you start to make a lifestyle change, there's like so many different things that you need to take into consideration, but I really liked what you said about make it simple. Don't
Right.
overcomplicate. Make it
No.
simple. Make it something that is doable, you can stick with. You don't want to do all of these changes like 0 to 60 right away. Like just
Right.
start implementing one small thing each day. Over time, that's going to add up. And pretty soon it's just like, you don't even think about it. I mean, that's the best thing. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I don't miss those foods that weren't fueling my body properly, making me feel like crap. You don't miss those.
Right.
And
And
when you do want
you
to
start
have
to
something
realize
like,
what makes you feel good. You
yeah,
start to realize what you put in that actually makes you feel better and feel good. And, women who work with me, they tend to, over time, just start eating more healthy things because they feel better. They start drinking less alcohol because it doesn't make them feel good. It makes it harder to sleep. And
yeah,
so, and I think that the whole idea is, you want to create healthier habits and focus on that, as opposed to like, oh, I have to end all of the bad ones. It's like, no, like, just when you create more goodness in your life, you have less room for the bad stuff. It's just a gradual shift and a gradual change. Because if you told me like 7 years ago that I'd maybe have like 2 glasses of wine a month, I'd have thought you were absolutely crazy. But now that's my reality if I even drink that often, because it doesn't feel good in my body. And I'd rather sleep than drink wine. But
yeah.
me 7 years ago would be like, no, like, you're going to pry my wine and my Doritos out of my cold dead hands. And it's like,
Wine and Doritos.
like, not together. I didn't drink them, eat and drink them together, but like,
Oh,
like it would be
I have.
it would be Doritos on my way home from work and then wine at night to settle down,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
No,
And then I
wine goes
realized
with
like, oh no, it
everything.
doesn't
Yeah.
actually make me feel better. It just kind of
No,
makes me
no, it
feel
doesn't.
worse.
Yeah. I stopped drinking alcohol this past New Year's. So we're going on what? 30. I'm horrible at math. I'm not even
Almost
going to
2
add
months
up the
now.
days. Couple months, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you, it was just like, oh, okay, that was just my thing that I did in the evening or on the weekends. And it wasn't like I was, balls to the wall going all crazy, but it was just something I did at night, have a cocktail, out to dinner, have a cocktail. But like you, I noticed the sleep was disrupted. I wasn't getting done the things that I wanted to the next day because I'm tired. I slept like garbage. And yeah, it was causing me to go backwards just a little bit. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll have a cocktail sometime in the future, but as of right now, I'm like, I don't need it. I don't want it because I'm working towards these other goals. I
Right.
want to feel how you feel. I want to feel full of energy, and I want to appreciate what my body can do. I have these goals, and I found that the alcohol portion just really wasn't fitting in my life anymore.
Right. And what I always tell my clients is you can always redecide, just try it, see how it feels.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop this forever. Just see how it feels. And if you
Yeah.
don't like it, you can always redecide. It doesn't have to be a forever kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the scary thing when you're working, maybe if you're working with somebody new and it's like, okay, well, we're going to start implementing these things just one at a time. But sometimes that can be like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
because
how am I going to make it?
you go for the easy stuff first. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. So like I said, it's 2 cookies instead of 3. It's not eliminating cookies. I still eat cookies. For the entire time, Courtney, that I was losing weight, I had kielbasa for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
Every
Yum.
single day. Because I really liked kielbasa.
Yeah.
And when you find a way to eat the foods that you love and do it in such a way that is not like eating. I mean, I didn't eat half of a big kielbasa link every time. It was just a small amount and it was in a wrap with some vegetables. And, I lost 50 pounds. But, after about a year and a half or whatever, my husband was like, hey, could you not make the whole like house smell like a diner every single day by heating up kielbasa? And so I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to switch to chicken sausage. And so
Yeah.
when I say, small gradual changes, I really mean small gradual changes that add up over time. You don't have to cut out anything. You just need to learn how to eat it in such a way that feels good.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, wow, this time went so quick.
It flies
Oh
when
my
you're
gosh.
having fun.
I know. And I love talking about, I could talk for hours upon hours about health, nutrition, wellness, fat loss, weight loss. I could talk forever about it. And you get somebody else in there that's super passionate about it as well. And it's just like the conversation just takes on a life of its own. I love that. Um, so tell us, where can we find you online, your website? Tell us all the good stuff.
Sure. So I am at www.sassy.com. That's my website. And I also have a completely free quick start guide for biking weight loss. And you can get it on my website at www.sassy.com/guide. Super easy. It's just delivered right to your inbox. And you can get started today, because weight loss doesn't have to be hard, and we don't need to beat ourselves up through the whole process either. And I'm also on the Instagram at Sassy Cycling, again, SASCY cycling. And I'd love for your listeners to follow me, to reach out, DM me if they have any questions. I'm happy to help in literally any way I can.
I love that. I love your story, your journey, and your inspiration, your motivation for others. And I found a few articles on your blog that I'm like, I need to go back and read that one.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. But I'm going to put all of this in the show notes, and your website, your Instagram. I'll put all of that in the show notes, make it super easy for my audience to go there. They want to connect with you, just click the button and you'll
Thank
connect
you.
with Stacey. Super easy. Thank you so much for this engaging conversation. I learned a lot, and it was just kind of hitting home some of the things that I knew, but it was just, I needed to hear it from you just to hit home some other things. Like,
I'm so
don't
glad
beat
I could help.
yourself up. Don't beat yourself up if you fall off the wagon at a meal. Okay, big deal. You're not
It's
going to
one
deter
meal.
your whole progress.
You have
Just
21
enjoy
meals
it.
a week. 21 meals a week. One of them isn't 100%. That's probably okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Stacey, thank you so much for being on the Goalpreneur podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed having you on, and this conversation was a dream. It was amazing. So I will put all of your information into the show notes, and hopefully we will chat again sometime soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Bye. Oh my gosh, that was so good, right? I hope you're walking away feeling inspired, fired up, and ready to take action. Listen, if anything in this episode resonated with you, if you had an aha moment or even just a little heart nudge, please do me a favor and share this episode. Send it to a friend, post it on your social media, and also tag me at I am Courtney Spaeth, and that way I can cheer you on. If you love hanging out here, please make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also, it would mean the world to me if you left a quick review. That way, your reviews help more amazing people like you find this podcast and step into the life that they are meant for. So before I wrap up, I want to leave you with these 3 things. You are worthy of success, love, and abundance. Every step that you take brings you closer to your dreams, and you are exactly where you need to be, and you are enough just as you are. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here. And until next time, keep chasing those big, beautiful dreams.